hello, my wonderful friends, and welcome back to another video. My name is Amanda, and welcome to my kitchen. In today's video, we are swinging with the fall vibes, and we are making a easy red lentil chili. Now, this can come together with, I would say, pantry staples, at least for me. A bunch of different spices, some lentils, some beans, onions, and garlic, and bam, you're done. And this is really hearty. It's a little bit spicy, but not too spicy. We can always adjust that, but I really think that this is a great meal that you can make all fall and all winter long. It's cozy and hearty. Like, I think it's just great. So that's what we're gonna make today. We're also gonna make some quick homemade croutons and quick pickled red onions to use as toppings for our chili. So we'll get into all of that. And before we get started, if you like this video or any of my other videos, my content, my channel, please consider giving this video a thumbs up, hit that like button before we get too far into the video, and subscribe if you're not already. I really appreciate you being here and really enjoy making content, and I'm excited to see how this goes. So without further ado, let's get into the chili. All right, so a quick overview of our ingredients here. We have our spices, we have minced garlic, red lentils, fire roasted tomatoes, tomato sauce, black beans, and onions. We'll also need some cocoa powder and balsamic for finishing, as well as some tomato paste and either no beef broth or no beef bouillon. And so when adding our not beef flavor to our chili, we could either use one of these bouillon cubes, which I will link below, or we could use this Better Than Bouillon no beef base, which I will also link below. And for our spices today, we'll be using garlic powder, onion powder, chili powder, and smoked paprika. Additionally, a little bit of cumin and optionally some red pepper flakes and salt and pepper. So the very first thing we're going to do before we start cooking is prep our ingredients. We are going to rinse and drain our can of black beans as well as rinsing our lentils. We're going to dice our onion and our garlic. Mine's already chopped because I have a hack for that, but we're going to get all those things ready, open the tomato products, and just get everything measured out. So once we start cooking, it's just like bing, bang, boom, ready to go. Ow. My goodness. So also, if anyone has a recommendation for a good can opener, I thought this was a good one, but then it just suddenly started not being good. So that'd be cool. Yeah. And then now we are going to chop our yellow onion for the actual chili, and then we are also going to dice one red onion for our pickled red onions. And then the trick to dicing an onion, you want to keep the root on, and then I do like 1 or 2 horizontal slices depending on how thick the onion is, and then you're just going to do some vertical slices almost to the root, but not all of the way. This way the onion stays intact for the most part, only because I'm talking about it. And then you're just going to dice away, and this gives nice even chunks, so you don't have to cry as much about it, because onions make you cry, and you get everything nice and chopped quickly. So there is a fun trick for chopping an onion. Now that everything is prepared, we are going to heat our Dutch oven on a medium heat. Once the Dutch oven is hot, we're going to add about a tablespoon of avocado oil or any neutral flavored oil of choice. And then once the oil has heated, we're going to add in our onion and a pinch of salt. And we're going to saute this, stirring occasionally for about 5 minutes, just making sure that it doesn't burn, adjusting the heat as necessary. Now that we've got a little color on our onion, we're going to add in our garlic and cook that for about 1 minute, stirring frequently so the garlic does not burn. Next, we're going to add about 2 to 3 tablespoons of tomato paste. And we're going to stir this until it becomes a nice dark red. You can see once you add it in initially, it's very bright. And if you saute it for a minute or two, it starts to deepen and toast. And we can also add our spices at the same time here to toast those. So we have our onion powder, garlic powder, smoked paprika, chili powder, salt, and cumin. Optionally, you can add in some red pepper flakes here if you like it a little bit spicier, but I'm going to omit those because I really don't want it to be that spicy. And at this point, you can add a little water or oil if you need to deglaze the pan, just to prevent the spices from burning. At this point, you really want to make sure that everything continues to move around so those spices do not burn to the bottom of the pot. And at this point, the tomato paste has darkened in color and the spices have become very fragrant. So at this point, we're gonna add in our rinsed and drained black beans, our fire roasted tomatoes, the whole can, no need to rinse or anything here. The red lentils, which have also been rinsed, and the tomato sauce. We're gonna give that a nice stir. I'm also adding in just 1 can of water. I just filled the fire roasted tomato can with water so I didn't have to dirty a measuring cup, and stirred that in to combine. The last ingredient we're going to add right now is our Better Than bouillon paste. This is the no beef paste. You can also do a beef bouillon cube, or if you have veggie stock powder and you'd rather use that. I just find that the no beef gives a nice umami flavor to this dish. Now that all our ingredients are in our pot, we're just gonna give that a nice stir to incorporate. We're gonna bring this to a boil and then reduce to a simmer and have it covered for about 25 to 45 minutes, depending on how you would like the flavors to develop. And you might have to add more liquid depending on how hot your heat is and how much the lentils absorb or how watery you want it. I'm gonna make this pretty thick, but we might have to add a little water just depending on how things go. So I'm gonna let this bring to a boil and then reduce it to a simmer, and we'll check back in about 25 minutes. And I did actually decide to add 1 more cup of water to this mixture. So we have about 3 cups in total right now, just because I feel like the water is really gonna evaporate. And I decided to make that adjustment, and we'll see how it goes. So we are starting to bubble. So I'm gonna give this a stir and then put it on my tiny burner in the back there and let that sit for about 25 minutes. And you wanna check it about every 10 minutes and give it a stir just to make sure nothing is sticking to the bottom of the pot. And I just want to point out, as I'm having this simmer, I do have my lid cracked a little bit here just to kind of prevent condensation on this lid, because that water could be super duper hot. So if you have a lid with a vent, use that, or just prop it open with the 1 spoon like this. And then while our chili is simmering, we are going to make our croutons and our quick pickled red onions. So by the time our chili is done, we will have those toppings to add. So this is just the ends of a sourdough loaf that I had bought from the store, and I'm just going to cut this into cubes, like nothing fancy. You can make them as big or small as you want. Just keep in mind that the smaller you cut the cubes, the quicker they will cook in the oven. So you just want to make sure that you are keeping an eye on them. If you cut them kind of small, that way they won't burn, because we want our bread to be crispy and crunchy, not blackened and burn, because let's be real, we've all been there when we've accidentally overcooked something. So we're going to first chop up all of our bread and add that into a small bowl. Add about a tablespoon of olive oil, and then give that a little bit of a stir. And honestly, I think I'm going to add just a little bit more olive oil here, maybe another half tablespoon. And you don't have to measure this. You could definitely, whoopsies, eyeball it, whatever you feel content doing. This is a very loose recipe. And then we're going to add some sea salt. So I'm just going to do a little sprinkle, give it a stir, and another sprinkle. So I don't want them to be too salty, but just salty enough. And then I am actually going to bake my croutons in the air fryer. So I have my air fryer basket here, and I'm just going to set all of these little pieces on our rack, and we don't want them to be touching, just spread them apart so they're not really overlapping. And then we are going to air fry these for about 7 minutes at 380 degrees. We're going to give them a check after that, and then flip or toss if needed, and go for another 7 or 5 minutes. All right, our 7 minutes is up, and wow, those look nice and toasty. I'm gonna I think I'm gonna call it. Like, I thought maybe they would need a little bit longer, but let's see. Super hot, but nice and crunchy. So scratch that. 7 minutes at 380 in the air fryer is absolutely perfection. Look at that. And then while our chili is simmering away, we're going to prepare our pickled red onions. And I would actually do this first, so I take that back. I'm putting this before the croutons. I just got a little discombobulated and it's fine. But so we had sliced our onion up when we did our chopping of all of our vegetables in the beginning of this prep. So now we're just gonna take those really thinly sliced onions and add them into a jar, whatever jar that you like. And as we're adding them in, you just kind of want to separate those little pieces, because we don't want them to be kind of too clumped together. I mean, it's not the end of the world. They'll separate as they sit in the jar. But then once we have everything in the jar, we are going to make our pickling liquid. And what's great about these is they only take about an hour to pickle, and they last for quite a while in the fridge. So this is great for kind of a meal prep option, or just a nice condiment to have, because getting in those fermented foods is always a good thing. So you can use any vinegar for this, distilled vinegar or apple cider vinegar. I'm going to use apple cider vinegar, so I'm just going to add a half a cup of apple cider vinegar into this measuring cup. 1 tablespoon of sugar. You could also use maple syrup or agave. And 1 1/2 teaspoons of salt. We're also going to use about 1 cup of water. I'm just going to add a half a cup now, because I did not use a big enough measuring cup for this. And then all we're going to do is give everything a good stir, a good whisk, until that salt and sugar has dissolved in the vinegar water mixture. Then once everything is nice and combined, we're just going to pour that mixture over our red onions. along with the rest of that water, just to make sure that everything is nice and submerged. We'll then add our lid and give that jar a nice shake just to mix the rest of that water and vinegar together. But make sure you have the lid all the way secured before you shake it up. And then we are just gonna let these red onions sit on the counter for about an hour, or really until the chili is done. You could even do these a day ahead of time if you want them to be prepared. And we are going to take a quick check on our chili once again. Now I've already stirred this twice since we saw it last, but we are approaching the 20-minute mark here, and as you can see, a lot of the liquid has evaporated. Now if you like a chunky chili, you can leave it as is here, or you can add a little bit more water if you want a little bit more broth. I'm gonna leave it as is and see how we are in a few minutes, and then decide if the water level is too low to have the lentils continue to cook. All right, my friends, we have made it. We have been simmering for about a half an hour now, and I am liking the consistency that we are at. I wanted to give it a little bit more liquid so then when leftovers are reheated, it doesn't get too stiff. So we are going to turn off the heat, add in about a tablespoon of lemon juice, about a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, or just kidding. This is balsamic vinegar, not apple cider vinegar. I was still in pickled red onion land. And then lastly, we're going to add in a tablespoon of cocoa powder. I know it seems kind of weird, but it makes this delicious richness and adds so much depth of flavor, and you really can't even taste it. So give it a really good stir so everything is nice and combined. And then once everything is nice and combined, we're gonna do another taste test just to test for seasonings to see if we need to add any salt or anything else. And that tastes good to me, so we are good to go. Ta-da! A delicious red lentil hearty vegan chili. And what I love about using the split red lentils in chili is they start to kind of soften and melt into the stew, so it gives it kind of a really hearty, meaty texture without the meat. So this is a great dish to make for even non-vegan friends or family. I think it's something that everyone will love. We have worked so hard on this chili, and it really didn't take all that long to make, which is really great. It makes it great for meal prep or something to have on a nice fall day. This is a super cozy meal, and I really hope you guys enjoy it. Now all we have to do is top it with our homemade croutons, a healthy dollop of our fresh pickled red onions, and optionally, but recommended, some fresh cilantro. And that is a wrap on today's video. I really hope you guys enjoyed this red lentil chili. Let me know in the comment section below if you tried it or made any adjustments. The full recipe will also be written down in the description box below so you guys can recreate and follow along. And yeah, like I said in the beginning, if you don't mind, like this video, subscribe, share with your friends. I would really appreciate it because I'm really enjoying creating content for this channel, and I hope you guys stay cozy this fall. I can't wait to see you in the next one. Bye for now.